Hi everyone, it's Miss O'Donnell. So today we're going to learn about distance. This is going to be the last part of coordinate geometry, the last part of your project. So we already talked about slope. So slope is how steep the line is. So we had a formula to figure out how steep this line is. And now we want to find the distance. So we want to see like how long is the line. If I had a horizontal or a vertical line, it would be pretty easy because I could just count the boxes and find out how long it is. But since this one's diagonal, I'm going to have to use some kind of formula because I can't just count. So the way you would find the formula is by creating a right triangle and then using the Pythagorean theorem to subtract the coordinates and solve for the hypotenuse, which is pretty complicated. So I'm not going to go through that with you. I'm just going to give you the formula. So the formula is d for distance equals the square root of everything else. So the square root of x squared or x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus 1 squared, where x1, y1, and x2, y2 are still two coordinates on my line. So my x1, y1, and x2, y2 would be the two endpoints of my line I'm trying to find the distance of. So in this case, this line, my x1, y1 would be 1, 5, and my x2, y2 would be 6. So the way you would go about doing this is just like we did with slope. We're going to take our coordinates and plug them into the equation where they belong. So my x2 is 6, my x1 is 1, y2 is 2, and y1 is 5. So I just took my two coordinates, plugged them into the formula where they belong. Then you start solving it. So the first thing I'm going to do is that 6 minus 1, which is 5, and 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Then I have the square root of 5 squared plus negative 3 squared. So then I'm going to square those. 5 squared is 25. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. Remember, when you square a number, whether it's positive or negative, you will always get a positive number. And I have the square root of 25 plus 9. 25 plus 9 is 34. I would plug it into my calculator, which if you don't remember how to do that, just send me an email and I can show you. But the square root of 34 is about 5.83. So this line, I couldn't count that it's 5.83 boxes, but using this formula, I know that it's going to be 5.83. So that's the whole thing. So you've got our formula. Hopefully you wrote that down. We plug in our 2 points into the formula and then just go about solving it in our calculator. So I'm going to go through 2 examples with you, and then I'm going to send you out to your exit ticket. So find the distance between 7, negative 10, and negative 2, 8. So I'm going to do the same type of thing as I did with slope. I'm first going to label my coordinates. So I'm going to have 7, negative 10 is x1, y1, and negative 2, 8 is x2, y2. Then I'm going to write down my formula. D equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Then I'm going to plug everything in. So x2 is negative 2, x1 is 7, y2 is 8, and y1 is negative 10. So now you want to make sure that you're using your calculator. Be really careful when you have negatives. So negative 2 minus 7 is going to be negative 9. And then 8 minus negative 10, remember minus a negative turns into a plus, so it's like 8 plus 10 is 18. So I have distance equals the square root of negative 9 squared plus 18 squared. Then I'm going to square both of those in my calculator. I get 81 plus 324. 81 plus 324 is 405. Then I take the square root of 405. I get about 20.12. So I have my formula, I plug in my coordinates, and then I just solve it. So I'm going to go through just one more. Find the distance between 0, 0, and 3, 4. So a lot of you started your shape at 0, 0, and you kept all your coordinates in the positive. So this would be more similar to something that you would be finding. So 0, 0, and 3, 4. Label them x1, y1, x2, y2. Write down our formula. X2 is 3, x1 is 0, y2 is 4, y1 is 0. So that one's pretty nice because 3 minus 0 is 3, 4 minus 0 is 4. Square both of those, add them together. The square root of 25 is a nice whole number. D equals 5. And that's the whole thing. So as far as your architecture project goes, tomorrow you're going to find the distances for all the sides of your shapes, just like you did yesterday with slope. So you're going to prove stuff about it, which I will all go over tomorrow. Today, you're just going to do your exit ticket. That's just the distance formula. You're just going to have to identify the distance formula. And then I think there are 2 questions where you have to find the distance. So you'd have to plug them into the formula and figure out how long what is the distance between the 2 points. So in case you didn't write it down, here is the distance formula. Make sure you write this down somewhere, especially the first question is gonna look a little tricky because I played with the signs and the orders of the X's and Y's, so make sure you look for this specific, formula and then use it to solve the other 2 questions. So if you have any questions, you can email me or join me for office hours. Um, Today, you're just gonna be working with distance, and then on Thursday, you're going to be actually finding the distances of your side. So make sure that you practice a little bit before you're doing your actual project. So go ahead and do the exit ticket. Good luck. I hope you guys have a really great day.